Hey guys, Augiesaint here. Today I want to bring to you guys my Scholar guide. So let's get straight into it. How to play Scholar and what to do in raids, dungeons, all the different stuff, and go over our abilities and all that kind of stuff. So for starters, we'll start out straight out with a DPS kit. So Broil 4 is our single target spam cast ability. This is like your bread and butter DPS for Scholar. And then Biolysis, we'll just call it Bio, is your dot damage over time. You just want to keep that rolling on the boss at all the time. It lasts for 30 seconds, so it gives you quite a lot of time to think about it and do other stuff. And then the other DPS skills you have would be Art of War. This is your AoE. It's quite a large AoE around you. You can test it like this. If you stand in between the two, you should be able to hit both of them. But yeah, you'll get the feel for it. That's about the range right there for Art of War, all the way around you with a big blue circle on the point of it. And then you have another skill, Energy Drain, but you can only use Energy Drain by using one of your stacks, your Aether stacks. And to get those, you need to use Aether Flow, which can only be used in combat. And it's on a 60-second cooldown, so every 60 seconds you get 3 stacks if you remember to use it. And also, it ties into a lot of your healing abilities. So whether you use it for DPS or for healing is up to you, or depending on what's going to happen. But you could use your Energy Drain. I wouldn't use it unless you have stacks to dump, pretty much. If you know you're gonna refresh Aether Flow before you use all your stacks, just dump Energy Drain. That is OGCD, so you can do it in between casts. And another place I like to just burn through all my stacks is in the opener of the fight. You want to use them, so broil and then bio and then broil and then weave them in between OGCDs of broil all the time. So like broil Energy Drain during your opener, and that will be really good because of all the raid buffs and everything right at the start of the pool. This is for extreme trials and raid content. For dungeons, don't do that. You want to kind of hold on to it because you're not sure who's going to get hit by what in a dungeon. It's very random. And then also, while we're on talking about the opener and the DPS and everything, Chain Stratagem, that increases everybody's crits on the whatever you use it on. So on this dummy, for example, critical hits by 10% for everybody for 15 seconds. So that you want to use in your opener as well. Give it like 2 GCDs and then check it up on your 3rd GCD, just to give everybody enough time to get into their combos and stuff. If you're doing trials, extreme trials or raids or something like that, don't run up and use it straight away. Give it like 2 or 3 GCDs and then you use it just so that everybody's up into their stuff. Or if you have a raid group or something like that, then work it out when it's the best time to pop it between everybody's raid buffs and stuff in the opener. But normally on like the 2nd or 3rd GCD, it's good to use it. So that's pretty much all you got for DPS abilities, and let's get straight into... Well, actually you do have Ruin 2, which is like a really shitty broil. Well, not too much, like it's 220 potency, broil is 295, so it's about a 75 difference. But you can use this while running, so if you have to move somewhere and you've got nothing else to do, then you might as well just Ruin while you're moving, because DPS is DPS. And yeah, that's about all there is to that. Okay, so let's get to our healing skills now. We have Physique, which is our single target cure. It's pretty weak, 450 cure potency. Well, it's basically like cure 1 from White Mage. That's 400 potency, I believe it was. So if you have to use this single target, I use it quite often in dungeons, but in raids, I barely ever use it because you want to use all your OGCDs and you have another healer with also OGCDs and stuff like that. So you barely ever use Physique in a raid. But in dungeons, you might be spamming it quite often if the tanks don't use cooldowns, which they don't like to do recently. And anyway, move on, we have Adlobium. This is your shield pretty much. Now this is Scholar's bread and butter, that's what they're known for, their shields, their Adlo shields. Put that up and it's a heal and an Adlo shield. Like, it just gives you a nice little shield to... If you got a tank buster coming up and you remember and you can precast and you want to precast Adlo on your tank so that it just absorbs the damage from him. And yeah, that's pretty much that for Adlo. So it's a shield, and it does, if it crits, it doubles the shield, so it's really good. If you crit, that's why you kind of want to stack crit on, I mean, pretty much all the healers. I think crit is better. Crit direct hit for DPS, and then crit determination if you want to be the healing healer. But yeah, so moving on, we have Sucker. This is our AoE heal. Now it's not a flat heal. It does have a heal, but then it also does a shield to 160% of the HP of your sword. So that's basically like AoE Adlobium pretty much. Adlobium shield is a little bit stronger because it's 180%. But yeah, this is your AoE heal. This is like you want to do Sucker before the damage comes out and then let your co-healer heal it up afterwards. Or if you don't have a co-healer and you're like the main healer, or the co-healer is dead or whatever, and there's a big AoE coming up where you need to have raw AoE healing, you can use a skill called Emergency Tactics, which basically turns Adlobium and Sucker into a bigger heal but takes away the shield. So you see when you do Sucker now, it gives a 5,349. Now that's a shield. And then if you use Emergency Tactics, that was a crit too, by the way, it gives you 5,000 and 3,000, and that's straight up healing. That's no shields. It just takes away the shield and does more healing. And the same thing goes for Adlobium. If you use Emergency Tactics, Adlobium pretty much becomes Cure 2 just about. So if you're like spamming on the tank and he's just dying and he doesn't want to get up in like a dungeon or something, there you go, use Adlobium with Emergency Tactics and he is doing good. And they did make the cooldown on this 15 seconds, so it's pretty good now. You can use it quite often. Every so often you can use it, so don't forget about it. Very strong Emergency Tactics, as the name implies. It's used for emergencies. Alright, moving on, we have Excogitation. We just call this Excog for short. So this, you put it on someone and then it heals them for 800 potency when they drop below a certain HP, 50%, there it is in the tooltip, or when it expires. And if it hasn't healed by the time it expires, it will just heal as it expires. So you chuck this up, basically that's good for tank busters. Chuck it up before the tank buster, and if he drops below 50 during the tank buster, it will like instantly heal him up. 800 potency, that's gear 2, a little bit stronger. And then also another thing you can do for it, which is a bit very niche, is if somebody dies during an extreme trial or dungeon or whatever, as you raise them up, then you chuck Excog on them, because they'll be under 50%, so it'll instantly proc and then heal them up a bit if you know there's a mechanic coming or something like that, and then you can just chuck a lustrate on them and they'll be full health pretty much. And speaking about that, let's go into our lustrate heal. This is a single target heal. It does use one of our stack. Oh yeah, and Excog does use one of your Aether stacks as well, so just remember that. And it has a long cooldown, 45 seconds. So lustrate is another one of our Aether heals. See, they had expired and just healed, 21k, pretty nice. But yeah, this is another heal. This is stronger than Cure 1 and Adlobium for single target, but it does have stacks, so you need to have stacks to use it. It's instant cast, it has no delay. So it's your oh shit button pretty much. And moving on, we have Indomitability. Now this is an AoE that's basically S size minus the MP and the damage. It just does 400 potency heal to everybody around you. It does cost one of your stacks. It is instant cast, and that's great. It is on a 30-second cooldown, so you can use it quite frequently as well. So use that quite often, and don't be afraid to use it. But yeah, just remember it does use a stack. Okay, moving on, we have Deployment Tactics. Now this in the past you couldn't use on yourself, so what you would do is you put a shield on your fairy, and you can't do it anymore because you can actually do it on yourself now. And then what it does, it deploys your shield pretty much. So if you have a crit Adlo on the tank and it's a big Adlo or something like that, then you want to use Deployment Tactics and it will actually deploy your shield. So for example there, hit that, and then Deployment Tactics, everybody that was in the range of that. And they did increase the range as well recently, so it's pretty huge. What is it, 30 yalms? Radius 15 yalms, 30 yalms. Yeah, it's big. Like, it's that whole big animation pretty much. So that's really good. With the next skill that we're going to talk about, Recitation. We'll just call it Reci. Because yeah, that pretty much guarantees the crit on your next Adlo or Sucker. Or Excog as well. But I use it mainly for doing the big spread. So you pop Recitation, and then you do Adlo. And see, that guarantees a big crit, so that's a 8.1k shield on me. If I use it on tank, it would have been higher because it scares with HP. And then you Deployment Tactics, and then everybody gets that shield. So it's really good for like a big upcoming raid wide or something like that. Or you can actually just use it on the tanks without using Recitation. So if there's like a double tank stack where the tanks have to share it, you just put Adlo on the one tank and then hit Deployment Tactics. Spreads it along the two tanks, and the group will probably also pick it up just for free. But yeah, that's another way you can use it. And then this is our new skill. I think we got this at 86. Yeah, 86. There it is. Protraction. So this pretty much increases the HP healing that somebody receives, and it increases their HP by 10%. And then at the end of it, it restores that HP that it gave to them pretty much as a heal. This is also a very good combo to use with a Deployment Tactics shield. So you pretty much chuck this up. You see it increases my health to 48k. So obviously my Adlo is going to be bigger because it heals with the HP in mind. See, 8.7k shield just about. And then you deploy that. And now everybody has 8.7k shield. So it's a really good combo on the tank. I like to do a pre-pull if I know there's going to be a big raid wide straight up into the pool pretty much, and you do Protraction, you do Recitation, you shield, and then you deployment on that, and then the whole group is shielded with that massive shield, and then I can pretty much just keep you guys up through that AoE, and you can all do open it with no worries, you and other healer as well. And yeah, it's really good for that. And then moving on, we have Sacred Soil. Now this is our little placed bubble. Just reduces damage by, what is it, 90% of all damage suffered. So yeah, it's just pretty much a shield. That is a shield, looks like a shield, it is a shield. Put it up, it will reduce damage taken by everybody inside. And yeah, let's just place it and forget. Although people have to stand in it, and the AoE is pretty small, so they've got to actually stand in it to make any use of it. And then our last skill that is for us, I'll talk about the fairy skills after this, is Expedient. We just call this Scholar Shuffle. So you pop this, everybody runs faster, it's pretty much equivalent to sprint, and damage taken is reduced as well. And the cooldown of it is 2 minutes, so it's not too long, but it's not like super short. You can use it quite often in a fight, and it's really good to use it for, if you know there's a lot of moving coming up, just pop that and everybody will get movement speed. And it's pretty funny too, you can use it evil, in an evil way you can kill people with it, because they won't be expecting it and you use it and then they overshoot mechanics. So yeah, let your group know you're going to be using it sometimes, just to, you know, give them a heads up or something. And yeah, tell them when you're going to use that, because it speeds you up, makes you speedy, and it makes you take less damage as well, 10%. So you can just use it as a plain raid wide cooldown as well. But yeah, use it for the speed and the cooldown, that's great. And that's pretty much all of our skills directly. So let's speak about our fairy now. So our fairy does healing by itself. Embrace spam, it just heal the lowest target. Embrace, but it'll always prioritize you. So if you are lower than your tank, it's going to try and heal you before the tank. So just keep that in mind. If there's like a really oh shit moment going on where the tank's dying but you're dying as well, the fairy will prioritize you. So it's your job to keep the tank up then. And you have two fairies, they pretty much, there's no difference besides the color of them. So whatever you're feeling like, if you're feeling like green or you're feeling like yellow, it's up to you. Maybe you feel like a different eye every day, it's your choice. And then fairy skills of, yeah, summon Seraph. Now this changes our fairy into Seraph, which then has the same abilities, just with a different name pretty much. But it also does give consultation, which is a shield and a regen as well. Not a regen, like a heal, I mean. That's a flat up AoE heal. And a shield, that's pretty great if you have to move and you chuck that up. And then you can also use Fey Illumination. That makes everyone take less magic damage. And it increases the healing that they receive by 10%. So the healing potency on them. And that's a pretty good cooldown. It's on 2-minute cooldown. It's pretty nice. You can use it right before big AoEs are going to come out, because it lasts for, what, 20 seconds. That's a long duration. So it will increase all the AoE healing at that time for you and your co-healer. And water healing, all Dark Knight and other tanks self-healing will buff all of that. And then Whispering Dawn is pretty much your shitty Medica 2. It just puts like a cure potency of 80 on everybody. It's pretty much a Medica 2, just a little bit less potency. And it lasts for 21 seconds. So you could do Fey Illumination first and then Whispering Dawn, just to make it a little bit stronger. I like to use it like that quite often. And then other fairy skills we have is Fey Blessing. This is pretty much just a weaker AoE heal. Now you can use this as a single target heal as well, because it's free pretty much, doesn't cost anything, 60-second cooldown, and you can chuck that in. That's like an OGCD, you can chuck it in between broils or AoE spamming, just to keep the tank up in a dungeon or something like that. So don't miss out on this, it's free heal pretty much. But yeah, use it for AoE, that's what it's designed for, but you can use it as a single target heal as well. Just a little one, just to keep the tank, you know, a little bit healthy if he needs it. And then we have Dissipation. Now what this does is it eats your fairy, gives you a full stack of Aether, 3 stacks, and it increases your healing potency by 20% for 30 seconds. And then afterwards it will summon your fairy again, but it does delete your fairy during that. So it eats your fairy pretty much, makes you stronger, gives you 3 stacks. This is like, you've used all your stacks, you've used all your cooldowns, the tank is gonna die or the group is gonna die, you just have nothing else. This is your oh shit button, you press that. And yeah, it's up to you to keep everyone alive then. So that's your oh shit button, and really good. So don't sleep on it. Before you used to have to summon your fairy yourself, but now once the skill runs out after the 30 seconds, and your fairy will automatically come back. So so you don't have to worry about it. You just eat your fairy, do all the healing, save everyone, and your fairy comes back afterwards. And then last but not least, we have 8 effects. Now this channels a cure on your whoever you target with your fairy. It does use your fairy gauge over here. And it's not the strongest, but I mean, if there's nothing else happening, you might as well use it because the fairy gauge is free. It's there. You build it up by using all your skills. You'll see a lot of them give you fairy gauge. So yeah, I wouldn't suggest to use it if there's a lot of AoE, because the fairy will embrace everybody individually throughout the group. But yeah, if there's like just downtime pretty much and all the tank is getting hit by the boss, like you're just gonna DPS and everybody else is DPSing, nothing's going on, just chuck the 8th effect up on the tank. You could even use it during a big pull or something, but yeah, use that how you feel. It's not very strong, but it's something to use your fairy gauge on. And that's pretty much all there is to Scholar. I covered all the skills that I can remember and that I can see on my bar. And the rest is just, you gotta come with practice, and that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you got any questions, ask them down in the comments below and I will make sure to get back to you guys on them. And thank you guys all for your support. Smash that side button if you loved the video, helps me out so much, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Here goes